Here's Hurts' career. Inside the pocket, the last 2 years he's gotten better, yards per pass better, touchdown interception ratio better, and led the NFL in passer rating. Brew, do you expect Jalen Hurts to make another leap? Before you answer, Greg Jennings is here. Go ahead, bro.
I do expect him to make a leap. Some people are wondering because he's lost his OC who he made those jumps, those first leaps under Shane Steichen now in Indianapolis. So some may think he's going to take a step back, but I am huge when it comes to quarterbacks. Character, work ethic, leadership, the mind, as he said, the intangibles. I'm huge on that because the best we've seen, Tom Brady and Joe Montana, that's what made them so great, that they had those intangibles. And I think Jalen Hurts has them as well. I think where he makes the biggest jump is the passing game. Now, he was fine last year. He didn't throw it as much as most of the top quarterbacks. But I think this year they probably will throw it a little more. I think they'll try to – he'll still run, obviously, but I think they'll try to throw it more. And I just think with his work ethic, obviously he's got one of the top receiving groups in the league. I think he's going to take that jump and move to the next level.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And he talked about being a triple threat. For me, when I look at Jalen Hurts, there's four thoughts that come to mind for me. Leadership just jumps off the page.
Yep.
Everything about him exemplifies what you want as a leader. Then you have the passing efficiency, which you just spoke of, improving in the passing game, becoming more of a pocket passer. He's always been pretty accurate. So just evolving that, throwing a lot more, having more on his plate when it comes to the passing game, being a dual threat athlete. This is who he is. This is why we are saying he's one of the elite guys in this league. But what separates him is his mental toughness. Like he's as mentally tough and sharp as they come. Like listening to him, a lot of players say, yeah, man, I got to be better. Right. A lot of players don't actually believe that they are on the path to being better by working at it every day and not even drastically, but subtly making improvements in the fine-tuned areas, like the fundamentals of the game. Like that is Jalen Hurts. That's why he is going to constantly improve and why success will forever follow him, because he exemplifies how a player like Tom Brady did doesn't become complacent or settle for what they've just experienced.
Yeah. So I buy all of that, but I do not expect him to take another leap, but it almost sounds like it's because I think more highly of him. Like another leap is he's the best quarterback in the league. There's not a lot of room for him to go, guys. The five best quarterbacks in football are Patrick Mahomes, who is on a tier above everyone else. And then you can argue about the order, but Burrow, Hurts, Trevor, and Josh Allen. That's the rest of your top. Okay, you guys want to take out Trevor, that's fine. I don't want to argue about Trevor. Okay. But he's somewhere, we all agree he's in that room. Yeah. And some would argue he's already the second best. Some would say no, Burrow's ahead of him. I know some folks like Allen more than I think they're crazy. Whatever it is. There's not, his goal right now is to maintain. His goal right now, yes, you want to fine-tune. Everybody wants to get better every day, all that stuff. But amongst the quarterback hierarchy is to make sure he doesn't backslide. That's, to me, where he's at. And I agree with everything you guys said about his mentality. The one thing I would add that I think he has as an edge, a physical edge on these other guys, is his raw strength, power, and toughness, and his ability to deliver, to sustain the running game because, he famously squats 600 pounds and all of those things. I also think the fact that his benching at Alabama is an odd mental benefit for him now, which is he dealt with a level of adversity that a lot of these top-flight quarterbacks have never dealt with until
after
they
winning a national championship.
Correct. Right. And adversity, what could have been embarrassment, and for a lot of guys, the first time they deal with something like that is at the NFL level. How are you going to? So all of those things, I'm not taking a shot at the guy. No. I just don't think I think he could be, I guess, universally considered the second best quarterback in the league after this season. But to me, that's not a big leap because some people already consider him the second best quarterback in football.
I think it's a big leap because, one, he's only done it at a great level for 1 year. So a lot of people do want to see you do it for 2 years. We've seen guys, we saw his predecessor, Carson Wentz, have a great year. He needs to do it for 2 years. And I think the passing can definitely improve. Now, maybe it'll just be because they're giving him more opportunities. Like we saw against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They needed him to throw
and that was
to
the best
stay
game
in
of
it,
his life.
and he threw it well. The first 2 playoff games, they were blowouts. They didn't need him to throw, so the numbers don't look good. So he can jump from, say, what he had, 22 touchdowns last year to between 25 and 30. I think that's a jump because he's a physical runner. He's not like Lamar, where Lamar's not a physical runner as far as taking shots and stuff like that. So they're going to want to, lessen the blows that he takes, even though he's great at running the ball. They're going to want to throw it more, I believe. So I think that's how he can make a jump.
Greg, quickly before we move on to Dak, do you think Jalen's mindset protects them from the Super Bowl hangover?
100%.
You're saying it's off the board for Philadelphia?
When you have a guy walking in the building every single day, working the way that he works, preparing himself as though last year it was cool, but we didn't accomplish anything that we set out to accomplish in terms of the ultimate goal. That's his mentality. You can't help but to follow suit and get in line with that.
I'll add one other thing. I also think Kelsey coming back, Jason.
Huge.
Because
Massive.
He's a future. I'm not even talking about his performance on the field, which is great. What I mean is he is one of the leaders of that locker room, a future Hall of Famer, and it's like, guys, I was contemplating retiring, going home with my.
Because of this guy.
Because of this guy and for this team.
For one reason.
Yeah, and so I think that
outside of week 1, I'm rooting for you, Jalen Hurts. Details. That sums up the new offensive philosophy now that Kellen Moore is gone and Mike McCarthy will be calling the plays. Michael Gallup told USA Today this is the first year he's had to, quote, key in on how many steps Dak is taking. And Dak says there's just a crazy amount of details. Guys are on the same page, just being very open and communicating, and that has been a world of difference. Greg, you found this article fascinating. Why?
A lot of reasons why. None more than, number one, my number one takeaway is they should have been detailed. They should have been understanding the timing that it takes for a quarterback from a 3-step drop to a 5-step drop, 7-step action. But it also takes me all the way back to a few years ago when they had this one guy on their roster named Amari Cooper.
Loves Amari Cooper.
I do, because he was very detailed. This was never a conversation when Amari Cooper was in the building. Now you get a young CeeDee Lamb. He emerges. He's great.
Younger,
but
Gallup.
Younger. The number one thing you have to guard from as a receiver is quickening your route. Meaning, if I get leverage on a defender, I immediately break my route because I think, oh, I'm open. Well, this is what Schottenheimer, this is what Mike McCarthy and Dak are trying to prohibit those guys outside from doing, because what that does is it speeds up everything for Dak. He's now throwing when he doesn't really want to throw. The window is more condensed, and there's not that spacing that you naturally would have. Again, running routes in person versus seeing it drawn up on paper, two different things. It always fits against the perfect defense on paper. But when you are on field and a defender jumps or he doesn't go to the depth that you need, you got to make a decision. Are you going to cut that route short, or are you going to have route discipline and route integrity? That's what this article is exposing. These receivers in this room didn't have that route discipline and integrity to where it hurt Dak more than anything, because he was the one shouldering these interceptions, when in reality, it was a culmination of all of these guys.
I think that's a great point. I honestly was going to say the exact same stuff about the receivers, the depth. So Greg kind of stole my thunder there.
Greg,
so I'm going to just
teammate.
I'm going to have a great job. I mean, you and I talked about this. I told you my opinion. Like, oh, okay, let me go first. Kind of weird. But to answer the question on the screens, this year Dallas gets over the hump. If we define the hump as wins a Super Bowl, then I don't know. But I don't think.
How about that?
Again, Brew
that's
and
not the hump.
No, the hump is the thing they haven't gotten to in the last 27 years, which is the conference championship weekend.
That
literally
is not
any Raiders sport in
satisfying.
college sports, Final Fours.
Getting to the conference championship game would be satisfying for them?
It would be getting over the hump.
For them having not gotten there.
Exactly.
And what do you get for that?
Hold on. Well,
the
what do you
best
get
record
for
in the
that?
last 2 decades
Yeah, hold on.
for the Cowboys.
You get nothing.
Okay, correct. But can I just say why?
Unbelievable.
Whether we're talking about the conference championship game or the Super Bowl, either one, just set it aside because you don't get much for making the Super Bowl and losing.
You do get a
trophy.
conference
Yeah, that is true.
championship,
I think people have again tricked themselves into thinking the Cowboys were not awesome last year. They were. They lost their first game of the year. Mm-hmm. They then lost a game with a backup quarterback in. Mm-hmm. They then lost in overtime to Aaron Rodgers and in overtime to NFL royalty. And they lost in the final week of the regular season when they were playing for nothing. That's it. Then in the playoffs, how'd they do? They rolled Tom Brady in the final game of his career. And then they lost to a Niners team that going into that game had won 11 straight by an average of 17 points. And they lost by 7. That Niners team, from the time the Chiefs beat them until the time Brock Purdy's elbow exploded, was a juggernaut, a straight juggernaut. And so you now have a team that I think didn't get worse. I know they lost Dalton Schultz, but they bring in Brandon Cooks. They bring in Stephon Gilmore. I don't love the loss of Kellen Moore, but from what Greg's talking about, it sounds like maybe for Dak that they have done okay in the replacement level. I think Dallas is going to be really good. And they have a defensive superstar, Brew, that is in the stage of his career where he should still be getting better each year because he's that young. So, yeah, I think they absolutely could get over the hump this year. Yes.
First of all, the hump is not the NFC title game. Okay. Because no one in Dallas is going to be satisfied if they just get to the NFC Championship game.
They will be thrilled.
It means
they will be thrilled. Really.
Greg, the Dallas Cowboys?
If the Browns get to the AFC title
That's
game,
the Browns.
They're
the
the
Browns
same
don't have
over the last
history.
25 years.
The Browns do not have the history and the pedigree
Nobody
of the
cares
Dallas
about Tom
Cowboys.
Landry's
Do we
hat
talk about
but
the
you.
Browns on every show?
What?
No. But the Dallas
We're up to
Cowboys
you.
are always talked about.
Yes, okay.
I mean, there is no way. They are about winning championships.
No, they're not.
The Boston,
No, they
hold
are
on.
not.
The Boston.
They're not.
The Boston Celtics.
This is
They've
an
won
apt
one
comparison.
championship since Larry Bird left the building.
Yeah, but they've been
and
to the
they
conference
are not,
finals
but
10
they are not
times.
satisfied with that. They're only satisfied with banners because they got the banners hanging from the rafters.
Drew, can I ask you a question?
And
In all
Jerry
seriousness.
Jones isn't walking around talking about I would give up anything to get to
Bro.
the NFC title game.
Bro, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In all seriousness.
I'm
the
dead
Patriots
serious.
have defined this century of football, right?
Yes.
Okay. If it's the year 2048, 25 years from now, and I'm like the Patriots, we're about winning championships.
But let's just hold
Isn't
on.
it fair to be like,
Drew,
dude, you would be happy
What's
with an
a
AFC
success for the
championship? I'm like,
Chicago Bulls?
No.
What's success for Chicago Bulls? They won 6 titles.
Y'all
the most
don't
recent was more recent than
understand
the
who
Cowboys.
the Dallas Cowboys
We're the Bulls.
are.
Okay.
I
Okay.
get
Are we?
what you're
Hold
saying.
on. Do we talk about the Bulls when we talk NBA? If the Bulls
You
aren't
try to
relevant,
bring them up all the
we
time.
don't talk
The
about
Jordan,
them,
you-
right?
oh, please.
I mean, the Cowboys are always talked about because I know you like to play around and maybe you believe it in your head.
Yeah.
America's team is the Dallas
Yes,
Cowboys.
but-
They got fans. They're one of the few teams with
They used
fans
to be.
all over the country. And I don't think they'll get over the hump, which is a Super Bowl.
Okay, but can I just ask this question? Let me just stay here for a second. Do you agree that after the Cowboys, the Niners and the Steelers, as far as championship is the expectation, nationwide fan base
Whoa.
talked about
Is
a ton?
Is that a little slight over
What?
with the Packers?
Okay, well, I wasn't even thinking of the Packers, to be
Okay,
honest.
well,
The
but think about
Packers
it.
had their
Continue.
run.
But hold on.
Yeah.
But let's say if the Niners, you think last year or the year before was a failure for the Niners? No, of course not. Any team in the NFL that makes conference championship weekend,
I think last year was a failure
unless
for the
they are
Niners.
the overwhelming favorite to win the Super Bowl, that year was a success. No. Yes.
It was a
Look, there
disappointment.
are-
It wasn't a failure.
There are a handful of national teams.
Yeah.
There's the Lakers and the Celtics in the NBA. There's the Yankees in baseball, and there's the Dallas Cowboys in football, where they are national teams. And for the Yankees haven't won a World Series since what, 2009? Every single year they don't win it, it's a failure.
We have producers
That's the
on
hump.
this show who have never been alive to see the Cowboys play in a conferk
Well, they
championship
need
game.
to hit the books and see what the Cowboys used to be. I'm keeping it real. Dak said it the other day. He said it's Super Bowl or bust when you play
used to
down
say?
in Texas.
Old people be lying.
man. The books.
Poor Ramsey's got to go to the library.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.